Hey everyone, Darren here, aka Irish Latino Reacts, Irish on the bottom, Latin American on top, and today we are watching House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 3. So let's recap the last episode in depth. We see how the Greens are all affected by the death of Jaehaerys right off the bat. Aegon is the most upset. Alicent is upset, but more for Helena than her grandson. And Otto is grossly and coldly, immediately calculating how this could help them out politically, how this could make Rhaenyra look bad and them look good in the eyes of the small folk. So let's start with Aegon. First of all, his performance was out of this world last episode. I had to look up the actor's name, Tom Glyn Carney, I believe, and his outburst in the small council room, holy crap, it gave me chills. Now, it's so refreshing at how complicated a character they're making Aegon. We actually have a complicated king. I mean, comparing to Joffrey, who was just a one-dimensional monster and a dick, and even Viserys, who, even though he did have some internal conflict as far as who his heir should be, overall, I would argue that he steered his ship in generally the same direction. Now, Aegon, he tried to be a good king to the small folk last episode, and he clearly cared for his son greatly, but he's a shitty husband to Helena, probably raped her. He is short-tempered, doesn't really have any political prowess, and yeah, he acts out rashly, which, Exhibit 1, hanging all the rat catchers, all the innocent rat catchers to catch the one guilty one. He doesn't see the long view politically, like Otto said. But his performance is capped off by him weeping at the death of his son, which I thought was very powerful. I'll point out that he doesn't really have any one to comfort him, which, you could argue is partially his doing. But Alicent, his mother, could have comforted him in that moment, and she did not, which just shows how broken their relationship is. Let's move on to Otto, who stole the show last episode as well. Like I mentioned before, he's a cold, calculated bastard when it comes to the death of his great-grandson. I mean, forcing Alicent, and especially Helena, into that funeral procession was cruel and very unemotional. But he does have gray in him, as well as all the great characters do. He really, truly wants to see the realm at peace, and he wants to spill as little bloodshed as he can to get there. Now, at this point, he knows that spilling no blood is not an option, but he is calculated in his methods to mitigate the bloodshed. And his scene chastising Aegon in the whatever room they were in for killing the rat catchers, all those innocent men, was, wow, A+. And you knew that Aegon was going to strip him of his Hand of the King title, but giving it to Cole, I mean, ugh, that seems to be a horrendous decision. I mean, Cole's not even fit to be Lord Commander of the King's Guard, so he is even less fit to be Hand of the King. Nothing good can come of that appointment. So let's talk about Cole. First of all, his relationship with Alicent still pisses me off, and I'm upset that the last episode ended with the scene with them two getting it on. So that's all I'll say about that. Now, his plan to send Sir Eric in to slay Rhaenyra at Dragonstone is the height of idiocy. Firstly, he's projecting his own guilt onto Eric about the death of Jaehaerys and he's using his traitor's brother as an excuse. Because I think at this point we can accurately surmise that he was supposed to be the one guarding Helena that night. Now, sending Eric into an unfamiliar fortress, because Dragonstone's a fortress, not a castle, it's an effing fortress, to find the person who's most heavily guarded at a time where she's going to be more heavily guarded than ever before. It's so not going to work on paper that it's not even funny. I will get to what happens at the end of this intro. So we covered all the greens. Now let's get to the blacks. Rhaenyra is appalled that she's being blamed for the beheading of a young child, and she's even more appalled when she realizes she may have had an indirect hand in it because her husband and king consort used her words as an excuse to launch the mission that ended with the beheading of Jaehaerys. That scene between Rhaenyra and Daemon in the room with the painted table, or room of the painted table, was both riveting and all-encompassing. In conclusion, Rhaenyra realizes she cannot trust Daemon, and his motivations are stemming from his perceived loss of the throne. And that must be very upsetting for Rhaenyra. Her closest living relative, and now her significant other, may have been using her this entire time for his own gain. Rough stuff. So now we get to the exchange between Rhaenyra and Mysaria. Mysaria is still captive because Daemon just left, just up and left without saying much. And she laments that, well, he's done that before. And right then, Rhaenyra realizes who she is and who she was to Daemon. And this realization must really scare her. She realizes that she has more in common with a foreigner who came from the slum than she ever thought she could. And that commonality is the relationship with her husband. Oof. So it must only cement the lack of trust she now has in Daemon that was established in the previous scene. So she decides to let Mysaria go to keep Daemon's word. But she smartly doesn't let her hang around Westeros. She puts her on a ship to across the narrow sea to Essos. But as Mysaria is heading down to the docks, who does she see? None other than Sir Eric. And we know from a scene in the last episode, she's aware that there are these two twins. And it's safe to assume that by this time she's also aware that they're on different sides. So once again, we get a scene a bit like Blood and Cheese, where gaining entry into an unfamiliar castle, maneuvering around that castle, and getting to your end goal seems a bit too easy. He does use the fact that he has a twin brother to his advantage, so I'm not going to gripe too much about it. So Eric enters Rhaenyra's bedchamber, and Mysaria seems like she did backtrack and warn the correct people of Eric's presence in the castle, because Sir Eric bursts in, and he knows he's got to find his twin brother on the other side of it. So we've had victims of the infighting, this civil war before now, that being Luke and Jaehaerys. But this is the first true conflict between the two sides. And it is so fitting that it is two brothers, symbolizing that the war within the royal family is also going to tear up other families. And I think it's also fitting that neither survive, because even though one brother does triumph in the fight, he is so hurt with what he did that he can't live with himself. More symbolism on what this war is going to be and what it is going to represent. There is going to be no true winner at the end. All right, everyone, I've talked enough, so let's get right into episode 3. The Burning Mill. Rat catchers, like, their decisions are writing history, and it's being written in this tapestry. Okay, nothing new this week. Yeah, I guess they really wouldn't put Eric and Eric on that. They're not royalty per se. So, though the rat catchers were there, we in the Riverlands, definitely not very close to King's Landing.
Well enough for killing Blackwoods.
Bracken in the Blackwoods. Okay, a feud that's lasted
Put the boundary stones
hundreds
back.
of years. A long time.
Move them.
They just
Did
hate
they
each
move
other.
themselves then? Fuck
Run.
the Assize. And fuck you.
See this disdain. You can feel it. It's palpable.
Babe killer.
What did you say?
Your false queen Rhaenyra is a kingslayer.
Bracken's.
Your uncle declared for Aegon, did he?
So Bracken's with the greens and
Well,
Blackwood's with the
let me
blacks.
tell you.
Still, that's easy to remember.
Aegon Targaryen is no true king. Just as you are no true knight. God!
Well, the Bracken kid is a little more comely than the Blackwood kid. Hate to say. Looks like his nose was broken.
You wouldn't dare.
Woody, let's see. What? Is that the Blackwood? Yeah, that's the Blackwood. Oh my god. Well, that escalated effing quickly. There's a burning mill, and holy shit! That little feud led to this? What the hell?
He is the basest of villains.
Eric and Eric.
He sullies the grave of his brother.
I cannot fault him for keeping his oath.
Otto Hightower would never have allowed this.
Good insight by Rhaenys.
Otto blood has prevailed, I think. Soon they will not even remember what it was that began the war in the first place.
That is easy
Like
enough. They usurped my
The
throne.
Brackens and the
Just
Blackwoods.
one answer.
Parallels.
Or was it when the child was beheaded? Or when Aemond killed Luke?
Yep, she's
Or when
speaking
Luke
wisdom.
took Aemon's eye?
Did it start back then?
We teeter now on the point where none of it will matter.
I'd argue it started then. If I had to
The
choose
desire
one.
to kill and burn takes hold. There may
Yep.
be another way. Alicent Hightower.
When last we met, Alicent said I would make a fine queen. You've seen what has happened since then.
She came to me in the hours after your Lord Father's death. She knows war is coming, and that it'll be savage beyond all compare. There is no war so hateful to the gods as a war between kin, and no war so bloody as a war between dragons.
Oh,
I do not believe she wants it.
She sent a raven.
that was poetic.
I do not care to read her message. What she did
It is not her, but the men around her who seek bloodshed.
she permitted it.
As you permitted the murder of a little boy in his bed.
She can't control everyone around her either, Rhaenyra.
Alicent is in King's Landing. Her son sits my throne. There is nothing more to be said.
Just kind of has blinders on. Frankie's snoring.
You're well, Lord Hand.
I was just about to retch, good sire.
They'll be waiting.
Good morrow, your grace. My lords,
Aemon's here.
forgive my lateness.
Important business, no doubt.
You've appointed new knights to the Kingsguard, your grace.
To replace those we lost.
Oh, are those new?
Some might say.
Ha! That's why they were just like
Sir
laughing
Eric was
about.
awarded the great duty of ending Rhaenyra's challenge. He failed to discharge it.
He failed because the scheme was rash,
Perhaps, your grace, but we cannot all hide in our castles waiting for war to come to us.
as now it surely will.
As now, it already has. House Bracken took it upon themselves to attack the Blackwoods, who declared for the Pretender.
The Blackwoods and the Brackens have feuded for centuries. This is nothing more than an excuse for them to indulge their ancient grudge. It's no true war.
Call it what you will. I call it war. The question is, what are we going to do about it?
They're looking at you.
We send a raven to Lord Tully.
Hand of the king.
These houses are his vassals, are they not? He must control them.
Lord Grover Tully is a flaccid old fool who can control his cock and a cunny. My lord brother Jason is raising a great army at Castle Rock. In a matter of weeks, he will be able to harass the Blackwoods from the west.
Should we not aim to unite these armies and then strike as one?
Ah, the great military mind of the Citadel. Do
I
remind me,
served around
which
with
link in your
Andrew
chain denotes the art of war?
This council must rediscover the discipline it lately had if it's to be of any use.
The Riverlands are the key to the war.
Thank you, Alicent.
Harrenhal is the key to the Riverlands. It is my ally. I will turn the Crown land houses who declared for Rhaenyra to our cause. We will add their numbers to our own and then turn west, where I will enlist the Brackens, subdue the Riverlands, and take Harrenhal.
All that
So impatient to ride with so few men.
What say you, my king?
And what will you do if you encounter one or more of Rhaenyra's dragons? She'll want to answer for Sir Eric.
We will be more like to encounter one if we field one of our own.
That is precisely why you must remain, brother. It's a brave thought, but we cannot risk your loss.
Kind of a smart thing to say
I'm
by
as
Cole.
fearsome as any of them.
Not as fearsome as Vagar. Not sure what dragon that is. So she had come back, okay, as we
I was told you
suspected.
turned back from your ship to bring warning. You saved my life.
What is the life of a queen worth these days?
You wish to be rewarded.
As I would think, you would wish to reward me.
What price would you set?
Did that say sea
Place
smoke?
at your court.
Ooh.
You said your earnest desire was to flee Westeros.
And you let me go. You showed me grace when you could have withheld it. I'm not often surprised.
One turn for another, then.
I know the workings of the Red Keep, and the movements of those who serve there.
She could be useful
That
to
is
you,
worth more
Rhaenyra.
than gold to you now.
That it is.
And what is my worth to you?
I would punish the High Towers for what they have done. To me. To those who served me. But more than that, I know the struggles of the small folk of King's Landing. They will be ruled either by you or by the usurper. And only one of you has shown yourself to be merciful.
I hope you do not confuse mercy with pliancy.
Are they always like this?
Sea Smoke, my late lord husband's dragon.
Oh,
It's been
Laenor's
restless of late.
dragon.
We cannot know why.
Maybe he's lonely.
Can someone not claim sea smoke because Laenor's still alive?
Rhaena. I've decided to send Joffrey to Ward with my cousin, Lady Jane Arryn. She has pledged an army in return for a dragon, so she will have one. Aegon and Viserys will accompany him until a place of greater safety can be found.
Tyraxes is but a hatchling. And Stormcloud...
I want you to go with them. You must take the little ones further. To Pentos, I think. When my
Across the
mother
narrow
died,
sea?
it is safer than anywhere in Westeros. I'm sorry to put this upon you. It breaks my heart to send my boys away, not knowing when I will see them again. But you have seen what may befall them here. Rhaena, I need you to be the mother to them that I cannot.
Wow.
Teach them,
Heavy
train
burden.
them, guard them as a dragon guards her eggs. I cannot promise to make you happy, but I ask you, make this sacrifice willingly. For all of us.
Your Grace.
Feel bad. Feel bad for Rhaena. Feel bad for Rhaenyra too. Giving away all of her remaining children, except for Jace. But so that would be 3. I think she said Joffrey was going to go to the Vale. So that's her youngest with Harwin Strong. And then her youngest 2 with Daemon. And Viserys and Aegon, they're going with Rhaena across the narrow sea. I think I got all that correct. Because I guess... Oh, man. I'm just thinking through that, I'm like missing Caraxes' badassness. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Harrenhal. I don't know why Harrenhal's like the key to the Riverlands. It's a massive, yet quite empty, quite destroyed castle. I mean, does it have an army, or not in this part of the castle, it would seem. Like the trees are coming back to claim what is theirs. Bats. I actually have a bat out on my porch. Sleeps during the day. Just a single one. We named him Damien, after the son of the devil. Oh, is this the main Great Hall? Yeah. First episode of season 1. Doesn't seem to be anyone here. Oh, here's someone. Hello. Some hello.
I'm claiming Harrenhal.
Apparently so.
Kind of looks like an older Sam. You know, from...
I, Sir Simon Strong, Castellan of Harrenhal,
Strong,
Pledge
okay.
fealty to Rhaenyra of House Targaryen, first of her name.
That was easy.
I swear this by the old gods and the new. Supper is venison with black cabbage and peas. No red currant. Sorry about that.
You know, that's so weird. I just learned what a currant was the other day because my friend has some in his garden. There's black currant and red currant.
That venison is well aged.
I've survived many a battle. I do not mean to be felled by poison peas.
Bet
If
it
you've
is.
not yet surmised, you are welcome here.
And what of your lord, Larys Strong?
Oh, yeah.
He who sits at the false court of Aegon.
Larys Clubfoot is no lord of mine.
Okay.
Do you not think it strange that his father, my nephew, Lord Lionel, perished by fire, and his son too, here in this damp place?
Good point. The son was Harwin.
It was the first fire here since Balerion ended the line of Harren the Black. So no, you will find no loyalty to Larys Strong here, my prince.
Yeah,
Your
how
prince.
did he light that fire? Oh. What did you just say, Damon?
Forgive me, I'd only assumed that as consort.
And we are reminded of the perilousness of assumption.
Indeed.
I don't like that at all. That just...
Your Grace.
That just compounds, you know, what we learned from last
What
episode.
then brings you to our corner of the Riverlands?
Harrenhal
Damon's
is the largest
motivations.
castle in the Seven Kingdoms.
Doesn't mean it's the most useful.
Escaped your attention.
Well, it is also, not to be argumentative, in something of a state of disrepair, since your forebear incinerated much of it with his dragon.
Well, that is precisely why we must bring it into a state of repair.
That was a long
Possess
time
the
ago,
coin,
so...
my prince. Your Grace. To what possible end?
There are 40,000 swords in the Riverlands, the largest undeclared host in the realm. Only Harrenhal is of a size enough to garrison them.
You should know that a substantial number of those swords have now declared and are presently at war. Houses Bracken and Blackwood have long detested one another.
Why?
Oh, well, the answer to that is lost in time.
Summon your Lord Paramount so that I may treat with him myself and turn them to our cause. People should obey their liege lord, whatever his condition. Perhaps the presence of the crown and a dragon will sharpen minds round these parts.
Might I ask, Your Grace, if you are successful, well, when you are successful, what then?
We march on King's Landing and take the throne.
Watch your words with Damon.
The throne?
Oh yeah, what do you think?
It's a big chair made of swords.
May I present my brother, Sir Gawain Hightower? Arrived
Oh.
last night from Eltown.
Sir Kristen. Mayhaps, I should say. My Lord Hand.
Sir Gawain, welcome to King's Landing.
How exhilarating to arrive at court after 3 long months on the road to find my Lord Father, who served 3 kings faithfully, unseated as Hand of the King.
It takes 3 months from Old
such
Town?
Modest beginnings.
I know that's far away, but like, jeez.
Being a scent the gods have bestowed on you.
Yep,
Sir Gawain has volunteered to accompany you into battle.
that's one adjective for his ascent.
We have a full complement, Your Grace.
Then you shall have a fuller one.
Does she
The
want to
march will
keep
be hard, sir.
eyes on
More
him?
delighted than I to march out to war with the Dornishmen. Sister.
So the Old Town's technically in the Reach, right? And the Reach don't really like the Dornishmen. It's more of a race
May the
thing
Seven guide
than
you.
like
Good
history.
night.
I feel.
And lead you not into shadow.
Could be
or
wrong
death.
about that, but look at that horse's armor, and Cole's armors are badass. I mean, I wonder how much extra pounds that is for the horse. I'm sure in the show it's not much because it's not real metal, but from a historical standpoint, how much extra pounds are you adding to the horse to carry besides already carrying you in your armor? And what are we gonna see? Ah, cheese. How you doing, buddy? Oh. Ooh, I love that. Oh, keep that going, man. That slaps. Ba-da-da-da-da,
No men,
ba-da-da-da-da,
no horses.
ba-da-da-da-da.
No ships. No dragons.
Good. Then we must seize the hour and act before our enemy does. They have penetrated our castle walls, and now the Riverlands are aflame after the Battle of the Burning Mill. How fares Prince Daemon with our army?
There has been no word from Prince Daemon, Your Grace.
Then we must press what advantage we do have.
And what is that?
Dragons. Send them all out. Start turning green strongholds to our cause. And burn those who resist.
No. If dragons begin fighting dragons, we invite our own destruction.
Yep.
Fear of it is in itself a
Mutual
weapon.
destruction.
The Greens will make the same calculation.
Mutually assured destruction.
The value
That's
of
the
a sword
phrase
is not
I was
within
looking
its scabbard.
for.
Perhaps it is time for you to think about secreting yourself somewhere safe, while we
Secreting.
remain here as a source of distraction for the enemy.
You propose to conduct the war in my absence?
It would merely be a precaution.
It would be treason. You are fortunate you took it no further.
Don't try to shut her out.
This council would do well to remember that their queen wears the crown of my grandsire, Jaehaerys the Conciliator. A prudent ruler, the wisest of Targaryen kings whose reign outlasted every other. Even Aegon the Conqueror's.
Ooh. Hell yeah, Rhaenys. Feel bad for Rhaena. It doesn't seem like she wants this responsibility or wants to go. She probably wants to be part of the war, but she does not have a dragon, which...
I cannot spare a fighting dragon, but I send what I can. Stormcloud and Tyraxes are small, but they will grow. It is for you to remind Lady Jane of her pledge, and persuade her of the urgency of our need.
I don't know if she's gonna like getting such a small
Go
dragon.
safely,
I'm sure
sister.
she expected a fighting
I will
dragon.
be safe enough. Far away from any danger with only babes to nurse me.
You do a great service, and may yet find yourself glad to be out of harm's way.
Do not coddle me, Bela. Grant me at least that dignity.
I meant no insult. We each do what we can. And here, I think, is some consolation.
Tyraxes and Stormcloud are young and vulnerable. These eggs are even more fragile. You will bear our hope for the future.
Your Grace.
Massive responsibility. I mean, she has to take some gratitude or honor in that, dignity in that, to be, trusted with that. Jaehaera.
I feel sad about Jaehaerys. But I ought not to, I think.
Why?
People die all the time.
Sadness is a condition of motherhood.
There's naught to be gained from it. That horrid procession where the small folk all stared at me. I warrant they thought I had no more right to grief than they do. Surely they lose their babes more than highborn ladies.
You have as much claim to grief as anyone. I love Jaehaerys, but my concern has been more for you and what you have endured. Helena,
I forgive you.
What?
I said that I forgive you.
Wow. That took a
Valyrian
turn.
steel. Worth more than a castle.
Oh,
Aegon
were
the
these
Conqueror
like
reborn.
his two friends, and now they're Kingsguards?
is
Like
your
one of them said, Aegon the Magnanimous.
Himself to fly to war.
All three of these were the ones drinking with
Then I
him
think it would benefit all of us to prevent our king from
on the
being
throne.
brutally slain by our enemies and his body parts scattered to beasts and his court come to ruin. Would you not agree?
I'd like to meet Sir Criston.
There are diverse rumors whispered on the streets of your city. One such is that your grace sends his forces to battle, and in his courage and wisdom flies with them. Another is that his grace was outwitted by his councillors and persuaded to fly to war with Sir Criston, so the Queen Alicent may reign in his absence, with Prince
Just
Aemon
words.
at her side. Tales take on a life of their own, like weeds, unless they are tended.
Tend to them then.
What does that mean to Laris? What does tend to them mean?
Lord Laris, my father always said he had no use for a master of whisperers. I find myself wanting for one.
You honor me, Your Grace.
Just what you wanted, Laris, I'm sure.
Shall we
Just
escort
like
you to the dragon pit, Your Grace?
wedge in there deeper and deeper.
I think mayhaps I shall fly another day.
It does seem wise on reflection.
You could come out with us, my king. Sir Martin has a new squire that wants bedding in.
He's never fucked a woman.
You're sworn to chastity now.
Of course, Your Grace.
He doesn't find it funny.
Yes, Your Grace.
All hail the king!
All hail the king!
Drinks for all, at the pleasure of the crown!
He still needs that love from the small folk. Which, you know, I don't find, like, that, you know, deceitful or nefarious. I think he truly wants them to be happy. Or wants them, I should say, wants them to love him.
A little tame, but a good a place as any to get it wet.
Oh my god.
No.
I don't think I've ever saw that on a normal show before. Regardless if it's HBO. I should have known. I mean, they don't have like doors.
Aemon the Fierce, you have come so far, and
Still
and
being
yet
a
you
dick
still
to your
lie
brother.
from the very first. What a fine, sweet thing. Did you fuck her like a hound? Woo! Woo! Woo!
Alright. Come on, Aegon.
You see, I do not exaggerate. Your squire is welcome to her.
Okay. Full frontal, awesome.
One's as good as another.
Okay. He like, I think he switched on his armor pretty quick there. Oh, with the letter. Green seal of wax. Might also, okay. Can now read that.
Sir Gawain, our company has camped back yonder. We march to make the first strike in the name of His Grace.
I assure you, my nephew will not begrudge me a night of comfort.
His nephew, not your grace.
If it soothes your brow, Cole, we will rendezvous with your army at first light. Or if their wine is good, perhaps a little after first light.
What does he
We're
say?
exposed.
What?
Cole?
Get to the trees!
Who is that? Oh, it's Bela with Moonbeam. Moonbeam, yeah. I like Moonbeam's color. Ooh, is she going to engage? Rhaenyra did not say to engage. She said keep high and out of sight. I'd be terrified if I were them. Ooh, get aerodynamic. Oh, here it comes. Oh my god. Whoa, look at that shot. Terrifying, terrifying. Oh, they're gonna make it, damn it. Pull up. Ooh, that was cool. Kind of the first, I would say the first real dragon action we've gotten. Short-lived. Yeah, you can't burn the forest down.
They know we're abroad, they'll be hunting. And we must move under the trees and by cover of dark starting tonight. And no fucking inns.
Okay,
Sir
win
Kristen
one for
Cole.
Cole. I'm fair.
With
Win one
some
for
half
Cole,
dozen
right
other
there.
knights, I'm sure of it. Perhaps a scout party for a greater army.
The Ravens confirm it, Your Grace. Lord Farringer's reported a larger force moving northeast towards Rosby.
Could you be certain it was Cole
Rosby.
from such a great height?
It was not such a great height, Your Grace.
Nope.
You said not to engage, so I didn't. Exactly.
The time for action is surely now.
Your Grace, I must agree. And request your permission to return to Rook's Rest and fortify my lands.
Shouldn't fret, Lord Simon. They'll be making for Harrenhal.
'Tis Prince Daemon who ought to worry.
Prince Daemon has Caraxes.
Cole will look to increase his numbers, and he may call upon a dragon of his own. This is why you must act now, Your Grace.
You gotta do something, Rhaenyra. I agree that you can't just keep tarrying and perseverating. I know I get it, you're frightened to make a move, because if it's the wrong move, that's not good.
I
Frankie, you
have
want
heard your
up?
arguments.
All right. I'm
I
over
will
here.
consider them.
Arenald's a shithole. But it is kind of strange that no one has tried to repair at least some of it since, you know, when Aegon first burned it. That was over 100 years ago. If I have that. Yeah, that was over 100 years ago at this point. Oh, who's outside? Yeah, they weren't even knocking. They were just going to bust in if you didn't have those swords. It's okay, Frankie. Nothing to be afraid about. I always tell you, man, the show is that way. So, ooh, did they just leave quickly, or is someone humming? Yeah. Is this that lady with the dark hair, or no? Who is this?
Always coming and going, aren't you? And I have to clean up afterwards.
Holy shit! It's young Rhaenyra. It's gotta be a vision. And oh, just Jaehaerys. Oh man. Oh, he's cheering up. He feels guilty. Okay, that was a vision. He's by the weirwood tree. One of the ones that have survived this far south. Oh, here's the lady I had mentioned. What's her deal? Whoa,
You will
piercing
die in
eyes.
this place.
What is her deal? It's a little rude to tell someone that. No context. Where's her manners, Frankie? You want to say something to the mic like before?
What do you know of the movements of Alicent Hightower?
Oh, shit.
Would you take her hostage? Or kill her outright?
I would speak with her, myself.
Killing her would be easier.
If war can be averted, it is my duty to avert it. I have reason to believe she may be of the same opinion. She
Yeah,
sent
what
a
did the letter
raven.
say?
She has expressed her remorse.
You can have a message brought to her, in secret.
She would not agree to it. She would suspect some subterfuge. As would I if I received such a message. I must see her, face to face.
She goes nowhere without many eyes watching her. It is fraught.
Speak it.
There are fishing boats aplenty in the bay. The city depends on them. Daemon made the journey unhindered.
So those get through the blockade?
You may be surprised to learn it, but most folk pay no mind to a woman who has not dressed as a queen or lured herself with the eyes of men. There is one place Alicent goes, outside the castle walls,
The Sept.
where you may yet find her alone.
I mean, that is pretty risky of Alicent to keep doing that. That it must be the Sept. And yeah, why do the fishing boats get through the blockade? But nothing else? I mean, are they letting them through for the goodness of their heart? Just block everything out. Oh, but they need their fish. Oh wow. She has a very striking face when especially when it's like bracketed like that, highlighted like that in her eyes. But not many people know what she looks like, and I wonder where they got the like the septa robes. I'm sure Massaria was able to get her hands on one of those. Damn, I'm so excited for this conversation. I mean, would a normal septa like dare get that close? Alicent seems kind of annoyed.
No. I must speak with you.
Pull a knife out.
If I could cry out, your knights would find me. I would be taken or slain. But not before I killed you.
I mean, I get the knife. Like, you have to stop her from crying out.
Rhaenys has counseled me. She said she saw in you a wish to avert the worst of what may now come.
So you've come to surrender then?
My dragons are restless. They smell battle.
But if you and I may come to terms...
There are no terms now. You have no army. Your allies turn from you and they hear of your depravity. Your hands are bloody to no crime I could never have imagined you.
The trespass was not mine. Oh, think what you will. I am a mother too, and you have yet to answer for the murder of my son.
I repudiate that act with all my heart.
Of course you do.
Well, I mean, if you expect her to believe you...
Have you now stooped so low that you will countenance the suffering and death of thousands in order that your feckless son...
Your father changed his mind.
Oh, so you say. And
Oh,
so your
are we
father
gonna...
is proclaimed to the realm. I saw the king that night.
Are we gonna get this conversation?
Mere hours before I left him, he had affirmed my right to the throne. A right he upheld steadfastly every day of his life after my mother died.
Yeah, and he would change his mind in the last
And yet you will maintain that his
half
mind has
hour.
changed in an instant. I will. You lie.
No. You misunderstood, Alicent. Come on, I hope they get to the bottom of this. Come on.
My father loved me, Alicent. When was your plan first laid? Was your ambition so keen?
He changed his mind, Rhaenyra. He changed his mind. I swear this to you, on the memory of my mother. Do you think me capable of such naked deceit?
Rhaenyra's face acting is so good. Emma's.
What did he say at the end? Did he speak my name?
Come on, don't tell me, like, it's just, the conversation's gonna end like that.
He said he was the prince that was promised to unite the realm.
That's it. That's gonna be it.
Peace as you do, but to preserve
Did my father use those words? The prince that was promised.
Yes, 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 yes!
Yes, he did.
He spoke to you of the Song of Ice and Fire.
You have no clue what... she has no clue what that is. Come on.
It's a story he once told. About Aegon the Conqueror.
Yes! Yes, yes! Alicent, you fucked up!
The Conqueror.
You fucked up!
You must go before you are discovered.
There's been a mistake.
There's been no mistake.
Please.
I mean...
You can prevent this, Alicent.
She can't control... She can't control the men around her.
Blood is to be counted a loss. Do not let your pride blind you.
There's been no mistake. It's too late, Rhaenyra.
Alicent.
Okay, well... that's the true statement. There's been no mistake is not a true statement. It's too late. That's the unfortunate crux of it. Oh, beautiful music. And now she's more determined than ever. Wow. Wow. Amazing ending scene. Amazing. I'm so glad we got that. Woo! Okay, episode 3 down, and I am now covered in dog hair. I don't know if Frank just wanted to annoy me, but maybe he's on the green side. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, amazing last scene. I have fallen into the routine, I think, where I give a shorter recap on the outros and a longer, more in-depth recap of episodes on the intros. It just... I'm more articulate at that point. I think it makes for better content if I wait for my thoughts to marinate to give like a full in-depth recap. But let's hit on like the big points, and starting with that last scene. I mean, amazing. I get that Rhaenyra needed to make one last ditch effort to stop the war. It definitely was the catalyst, I guess, was that letter. I'm curious what was said in it. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe it doesn't matter. But, and then they get down to the entire, misconception of why why Alicent thought Viserys wanted Aegon to be on the throne. And I'm glad we got to that. I felt like we weren't going to get there for a long time, or maybe we would have never gotten there at all. I did mention at one point, just another thing about the Fire and Blood, not really a spoiler, but Rhaenyra and Alicent in the book are not friends whatsoever. So, I never knew as a book reader if this conversation would ever be had in the show. And it was amazing. And now Alicent realizes she messed up and she misunderstood Viserys in his dying moments. And because of that singular mistake is the reason this war's happening. And yet, I do agree with Alicent that it is too late, even though she realizes her mistake now. Like she said, Cole's on the march. Her father, who was the only one with a cooler head, has been banished. Not banished, but he left to Old Town because his appointment as Hand of the King's been stripped. And Aemon is Aemon because he's just an angry guy and he wants blood. And Aegon is a loose cannon, so she can't control the men around her. And war is already coming regardless. So now on Rhaenyra definitely came out of that even more changed than Alicent, because Alicent realizes she made a mistake, but she can't change her course. Rhaenyra now realized that there's no preventing this war. So I think we're going to start to see a much more decisive Rhaenyra in the next several episodes. So I can't wait for that. What else? Daemon flew to Harrenhal and took it very easily because the Elder Strong does not like Larys. He believes that Larys was the cause of the fire in Harrenhal, because he made a good point. It's such a damp place that how do you start a fire, or how does a fire start by accident? So extremely sus right there. So Daemon is now Lord of Harrenhal, and Harrenhal has come to Rhaenyra's side, but Harrenhal in and of itself is pretty useless. It's the only use, like Daemon said, is that if you garrison all of the Riverlands, then you can house them all at Harrenhal. But Mr. Strong already said that some of them have already taken a side and are already at war. So I'll be interested to see if Daemon's still at Harrenhal once Cole starts, once he rides up. And that scene, that vision that Daemon has of younger Rhaenyra was crazy. Never could have expected that in a million years. Never could have expected that actress to return. I remember her saying after, she was like, I'm done with fantasy. I never want to do like any Game of Thrones things ever again. And it's a small scene, so I get it. But still, it was very surprising. And of course, the symbolism is heavy there. What did she say? She said, I'm always cleaning up after your messes. And here's your latest mess. It's Jaehaerys. I have to sew his head back onto his body because of you. And I saw Daemon with tears in his eyes, which I never expected to see that under any capacity. So it's great that we got that. Yeah, and the weirwood tree was giving him the vision. I'm curious why Daemon even found himself out by the weirwood tree. He's not a godly man, especially not the old gods. The Targaryens are just not. And then there's that lady with the dark hair who told Daemon he was going to die here in this place. I wonder what her deal is. I don't really remember her from the book. And so we'll see where that goes. I guess moving backwards, we got Cole and Galliant. I can't remember the name of Alicent's brother, but yeah, Bela almost took them out. And that was a cool scene with the dragon. I loved it. And that's just kind of a tiny, tiny taste of like what's to come when dragons start, when they start engaging. So, and Aegon, put some of his own friends onto the Kingsguard, which is just another utter appointment mistake. First Cole, and now this. And he's just surrounding himself with idiots, except for Larys. I don't think Larys is an idiot at all, but he's a snake, and I can't imagine he has Aegon's best interest at heart, unless they align with his own. So, maybe for a time they will align. So we'll see where that goes. I know I'm leaving stuff out once again. I don't like to make the outro so long because my intros have tended to be longer because once again, that's where the more in-depth recap comes. So I'm trying to think. Well, okay, I'll talk about Rhaena real quick, you know, being given that responsibility and that burden of taking care of Rhaenyra's children and the dragon eggs and the 2 young dragons. But I get it. I get it. Like Rhaenyra said, if all came to ruin here, you'd be our one last hope at continuing the line of, you know, maybe the true Targaryens. So, yeah. All right, guys. I think I'm going to end it there. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe if you like my style of reacting, and comment down below on the video. It really helps me out a lot. If you want to get early reactions or full-length reactions, you can find those on my Patreon. There's a link in the description below. Supporting me there is always the best way to support me, but I love the support I get here on YouTube as well. So thank you so much, everyone. I will catch you next time.